தமிழ்ல சொல்லுங்க, தமிழ்ல எல்லாருக்கும் புரியும்.
சரி, ஓகே, ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். ஸோ இப்போ வந்து இது ஐபிஎல் சீசன் இல்லையா? ஸோ ஐபிஎல் சீசன்ல என்ன ஆகும்னா, முதல்ல எல்லாத்தையும் they will show everything, அந்த ரியல் மேட்சா நம்ம லைவா பார்ப்போம். தென் வில் see if a wicket falls, அது ஒரு ஸ்லோ மோஷன்ல they will explain. ஸோ அதனால வாட் எவர் வி சா லைவ் ரிலே இந்த லாஸ்ட் வீக், இப்போ கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லோ மோஷன்ல ஒரு டிஃபரெண்ட் ஆங்கிள் we will try to understand it. Okay, so that's the idea today. So every subject will have a keyword. அந்த keyword இப்போ அது என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா, நம்ம கலை சொற்கள் அப்படிமோ தமிழ்ல. ஸோ கீவேர்ட், சயின்டிபிக் டெர்மினாலஜிஸ் எல்லாம். ஸோ ஒன்ஸ் யூ பிக் அப் எனி சப்ஜெக்ட், இஃப் யூ அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் த கீவேர்ட்ஸ், த சப்ஜெக்ட் பிகம்ஸ் ஈஸியர். So what happens is every subject will introduce the keywords and the students would have to understand the keywords. And once they understand the keyword will be used again and again during the course of the subject. So similarly in Saiva Siddhanta also we have few keywords, right? So I think if we understand the keywords, then a lot of appreciation of the concept will become very easy. So அதான் நம்ம அது I wanted to highlight that part. இப்போ நீங்க சயின்ஸ் அப்படின்னு எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா, ஸோ எவ்ரி சப்ஜெக்ட், ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இப்போ நம்ம எனி ஃபீல்ட் ஆஃப் சயின்ஸ் இஃப் யூ டேக், பிசிக்ஸா இருக்கட்டும், கெமிஸ்ட்ரியா இருக்கட்டும், இஃப் யூ ஆஸ்க் தம், உங்களோட அதாவது when will the science grow அப்படின்னா, they will say that science will grow when mathematics will grow. ஏன்னா mathematics is foundation for all subjects அப்படிமா. ஓகே, ஸோ இப்போ நம்ம மேத்தமெட்டிஷியன் போய் கேட்டா வாட் இஸ் த ஃபவுண்டேஷன் ஆஃப் மேத்தமெட்டிக்ஸ் அப்படின்னா அவங்க நம்பர்ஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஓ வெரி குட், நம்பர்ஸா, சரி. அப்போ தென் ஒரு சின்ன கொஸ்டின் கேட்குறோம் வச்சுங்களேன் அவங்க கிட்ட, வாட் இஸ் த பிக்கஸ்ட் நம்பர் அப்படின்னு ஒரு சின்ன கேள்வி கேட்டா எல்லாரும் சொல்லுவாங்க, whatever number they say, நம்ம we can always add one and say okay, that is not the biggest number, this is the biggest number சொல்லிடலாம் இல்லையா? ஸோ இது, ஸோ how do they resolve this problem in mathematics? They would say the highest number, the biggest number is called infinity. So when you first learn about infinity, we will also think, oh, is infinity a number? அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் we'll understand, no, it is not a number, it is just a symbol that is given to say that I don't know what is the biggest number. Because I don't know, I will tell you it is infinity and I will give it a symbol. That symbol is infinity. So every subject, so imagine the whole science which is based on mathematics is built on this assumption that I cannot tell you the biggest number in the world. The biggest number in the world is infinity. அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு அசம்ஷன்ல தான் அவங்களே மேல போறாங்க இல்லையா? ஸோ தட் இஸ் வெரி சிமிலர் டு தட். ஈவன் இன் சைவ சித்தாந்தம் we will have certain assumptions. So one of the, like they say infinity, we use the word called anadi. Anadina, see, adi means whenever the time started. When the concept of time started, it comes under the section of adi. Before even the time started, whatever was there, which we cannot comprehend, adukku per anadi. So the anadi means even before. So anytime we say Adi Lakshmi, Adi Bhagavan, that means time has started, creation has started. Anytime you use the word Adi, pretty much it is after creation has started. Anadi means even before creation, when nothing was there. That period is called as Anadi. Now, why do we start from Anadi? And our first question that Saiva Siddhantam is asking is, அனாதி பீரியட்ல என்ன இருந்திருக்கும்? வாட் வுட் ஹவ் பீன் தேர்? வாட் ஆர் திங்ஸ் தட் வி கேன் கிளைம் அஸ் உள் பொருள், தட் இட் வில் ஆல்வேஸ் பி தேர், தட் இஸ் எட்டர்னல். ஏன்னா the challenge is, if you take science, once upon a time science will say, oh, it is impossible for anybody to fly, here is the evidence. Then Wright brothers will come and say, oh no, you can fly. Then science will say, yeah, you can fly, we will change the whole syllabus now, right? Suddenly they'll say, oh, nobody should eat ghee. Then somebody will come and say, no, ghee has this LDH, all these other things. Oh, okay, now you can eat ghee. So the science, it never has anything as a final conclusion. It can keep on changing. It is the character of the science, and they call it very proudly, right? That it is the growth. That is how science grows, because everything can be challenged. But we cannot have the same yardstick for religious concepts. Now, if you go to any other religion, if you say, okay, before your messenger was born, there were many people who were born and died. What happens to them? Because the messenger's news is available only to people who are born after that. So what happens to them? They won't answer. There is no answer. So for them, Anadi is not a concept. For them, okay, there is a messenger who comes and he gives a book and then we follow that book. But what about the people who were born and lived before? No answer. ஆனால் சைவ சித்தாந்தம் meaning final conclusion, they cannot take that stand. So they have to come up with the logic and an explanation that is anadi, right? That is even before the start of time. So the first question they ask is, what are things that are anadi? That is, anadi means no beginning. If something doesn't have a beginning, then of course it will not have an end. and it will be eternal. So this is the very first question that they pick up. So now you look around. Okay, is the universe anadi? So the argument that Saiva Siddhanta would say is no, universe cannot be anadi because it is made up of elements. The moment something is made up of elements, I can deconstruct it. ஒரு அவயக பகுப்பு அப்படிமோ 4 விஷயம் சேர்ந்துருக்குன்னா அதை நம்ம பிரிச்சுக்கலாம் கண்டிப்பா. ஸோ இஃப் இட் கேன் பி டிஸ்ட்ரக்டட், இட் கேன் பி ஜெனரேட்டட் ஆல்சோ. நம்மளுடைய ஓன் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்லேயே we are seeing some islands are going down, இல்லையா? ஸோ lot of things are getting distracted. So we know destruction is possible. Now scientifically also we'll know that even sun has a date, every star has a destructive, every star goes through birth and death. So there is enough evidences to say that the universe is not anadi. So the argument that Saiva Siddhanta would say is anything that is made of elements cannot be claimed as anadi because it can be deconstructed. Okay, so that is the idea. So first it says that, okay, now we have established universe is not anadi. Now we have to still find the answer. What is anadi? So now then we look at things around us. Okay, what is happening in the things around us? Then we say, in whatever is there around us, there is a certain discipline. That means unless the effect is there, I don't see it in the result. For example, whatever I try, முயலுக்கு வந்து கொம்பு முளைக்காது. A rabbit will never grow horn. இல்லையா? அதே மாதிரி சிமிலர்லி ஒரு கண்ணுக்குட்டி இருக்குன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் the horn will be in a சூக்ஷ்ம stage, right? You don't see it, but you know at some point in time the horn will come out, correct? பட் ரேபிட்டை நம்ம அதே பார்க்கும்போது சின்ன இதுக்கு கொம்பு வரும்னு நம்ம சொல்லவே மாட்டோம், பிகாஸ் we know even in the சூக்ஷ்ம stage the rabbit doesn't have that potential. There is no horn in that. So this is one concept. Then it says, okay, if you take, say, sand, whatever you try, no oil will come out of it. But if you take a sesame seed or some other seed, and then if you crush, oil will come out of it. So what does that mean? Nothing new is created. It is only an explicit manifestation of what is already present. Okay. So similarly, right, whatever we see, so curd can be only got from milk, a cloth can be only made from thread. Any effect you see has to be potentially contained in the cause. So this is the first, another argument that Saiva Siddhanta is placing. They call this argument as Satkaryavada. That means உள்ளது தோன்றும், இல்லது தோன்றாது. Whatever is not there, it cannot appear. Whatever is there can appear. That is the first argument. So உள்ளது தோன்றும், இல்லது தோன்றாது. Then they say உள்ளது அழியாது, because anything that is there, it is always, if you say something is in a shushma form, it can never be destructed. It is always in some form. So this is also, now science also accepts it, right? If you take the law of thermodynamics, they will say energy can be created, destroyed. Energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So this is a law also. With this law, we are now solving a lot of problems. So we do understand now scientifically also this to be there. So whatever appears is always there in some form. When you see the form, maybe you will not be able to understand what gross form that it can take. Only some person can understand. For example, if you see a sand, unless you are someone who knows how to make a pot, you will not be able to see in this subtle form of sand there is a gross form of pot that is present. And if I can work on the subtle form, the gross form can come, right? But then there is somebody who is needed to convert it from subtle to gross. So this whole argument is called Satkaryavada argument. Sat means உள்ளது, what is there. Karyavada means உள்ளதுதான் செயல்படும், உள்ளதுதான் பொருளாகும், வேற எதுவும் ஆக முடியாது. This is another argument we are keeping. So now with this argument, they will extend to the Anadi Adi concept. They would say, during the period of Anadi, the creation was in Shushma or subtle form. In the creation, it came from the subtle form to a gross form. So Shushma ரூபத்திலிருந்து ஸ்தூல ரூபத்தில் வந்தது. So we are moving from when you move from Anadi to Adi, the creation as a potential is always present. The only thing is the potential is taking a gross form, right, during the creation. So when we say Anadi, we have to understand during the Anadi period, there is no creation. In the Adi period, when the time really starts, the creation is also there. And the creation is in the Stula or the gross form, which we see now around us, right? So this is the Stula or the gross form that we see. Now the next question would come, okay, can this happen without a creator, right? The science says Big Bang happened. Did it happen on its own? That is the next question. Already Satkaryavadathil we have argued that it is not possible because universe is made of parts. Anything that is made of parts, somebody has to put it together, otherwise it is not possible. So this is one argument that was already given in Satkaryavada. It gives further arguments. The arguments that we see last time was, or isai, if we are enjoying a music, we know there was a musician behind it. If we see a rangoli, we know there was someone who created the rangoli. So any sign of intelligence implies there was an intelligent being behind it. Now if we see the life around it, because நீங்க யார்கிட்டயாவது போய் பணம் இருக்கான்னு கேட்டா கூட, பணம் இல்லையான்னு கேட்டா கூட that is okay, they don't get offended, right? ஆமாப்பா என்கிட்ட பைசா இல்லை, ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை. வேற எது கேட்டாலும் அந்த எவ்வளோ அஃபண்டட். ஆனால் அறிவு இருக்கான்னு கேட்டால் they'll get offended. அறிவு இருக்கா, எவ்வளோ கண்டிப்பா இருக்கு அப்படின்னா, பிகாஸ் we all, that is something that we don't agree. அறிவு இருக்குப்பா எனக்கு இந்த. So our body and all creatures have an inherent intelligence. So when what we discussed last time was, even in the during the time of COVID, we only train the intelligence in our body to fight the COVID, right? So we were only giving the training to the intelligence. ஒரு குழந்தை நடக்கிறதுல இருந்து எல்லா விதமான all the activities that we are doing is, there is an inherent intelligence within us, which is being trained and which is growing, right? So there is a set of intelligence that is within our control, and then there is a set of intelligence that is not within our control, and with that we are coexisting. So that is the idea. So if we see this intelligence is there, then the argument is, if there is an intelligent thing, it can only be created by an intelligent thing. So that is the next argument it is placing. It is adding further arguments where they are saying, okay, if you see the world around us, it is not having a very constant nature. For example, I breathe oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. The trees breathe carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. This is not, I mean, if everything is by accident, why will there be opposites like this? It is not possible, no? So breathing as a structure means then everybody should breathe oxygen, everybody should breathe out carbon dioxide, but that is not what we see, right? So there is if you look at the nature, then you can clearly understand, okay, there is a creative force, there is a destructive force, there seems to be some balance. The creative force come into action for some time, and after that the destructive force comes. Both are equal means, for example, if creative force is equal to destructive force, nothing will happen in the world, because moment the creation happens, the destruction would come, and nothing, it will not allow anything to happen. If destructive force is greater than creative force, no creation is possible. Like something is getting created, immediately it will get destructed. But if the other way around also, then too much creation will happen and no destruction will happen. Somehow there is a balance in all of this. So they are claiming with all this argument, there has to be someone who is managing all this. So this whole thing is what is put together as the first argument in Saiva Siddhantam, where they claim, if you look at all this, you can say, because the universe is not eternal, that can be evidence. The universe is made of parts, that we can see very clearly. We know from Satkaryavada argument, உள்ளது தோன்றும் இல்லது தோன்றாது, that implies the universe was always in some form. See, this is very, very different from the arguments of certain contexts within Hinduism, because people would say that the world is Maya, right? That the world doesn't even exist. But Saiva Siddhanta doesn't take that stand. Saiva Siddhanta says, using my intelligence, I could see there is world and it is there, right? So it doesn't say the world is not there. It doesn't say the world is mithya. It agrees that there is world. It agrees that yes, that it has been created. It agrees that okay, yeah, it has been created, but it has been created by someone, because anything that is there will always be there. So implying it would have been in a Sushma form before, now it is in the Stula form, and somebody would have converted this, right? So that is this is the first set of argument that Saiva Siddhanta is placing and evidencing that Pati implying Talaivan, the leader, Pati is there, right? So Pati is the first concept that we are establishing, that is eternal, and it is from the period of Anadi, right? So that is the first thing that Saiva Siddhanta is establishing. So I want to, I mean, if this context is clear, then we can further go and discuss, okay, what else is eternal, right? If you want further, I mean, something different from Saiva Siddhanta, right? If you look at Saundarya Lagari, the very first shloka, right? So if you see this shloka, if I am from a Saiva Siddhanta context, if I read this, right? So it says, Shiva Shaktya Yutho Yakti Bhavati Shakta Prabhavidam, right? So the very famous shloka. So it says, Shiva, when united with Shakti, he manifested and created the universe. And then you see here below, it says, Harihara Virinchadi Virabi, where it says who is worshipped, the Shakti is worshipped by Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. So now, if you are a trained, if you from a Saiva Siddhanta angle, if I read this, I would say the first Shiva Shaktya Yukto is the Anati. Right? That is when there was no creation. The Harihara Virinchadi Viravi is Adi. That means the creation has happened. Because the creation has happened, now somebody is required to manage the creation, where Vishnu would come. Somebody needs to take this creation and convert it later into Sushma form and give it to the Paramashiva, who is in the Anadi section, and that is Shiva, and then Brahma, right? So we would, even if we read it as from a Saiva Siddhanta perspective, we'll say there are two elements here. The first section is the Anadi section, and the other section is the Adi section. So in the Anadi, when we call Shiva, we use the word Paramashiva. And when we call Shakti, we use the word Parashakti. So that is where the word Parampara is coming, right? Param from Paramashiva and Para from Parashakti. Put together, Paramparai. Parampara is what we use, right? So all of us are from the Shiva Shakti Paramparai only. So the Paramashiva and Parashakti are the terms that are used to refer to the Pati that is in the Anadi stage. In the Anadi stage, it is called Guna Guni Sambandham. That is, Shiva has, like, there is sun, and the sun has light. You cannot separate it, right? The sun has light as an energy. So you cannot say sun is separate, energy is separate. That is how Saiva Siddhanta looks at it. Shiva is the sun and Shakti is the light, right? So this is how Saiva Siddhanta would look at it. So this is the Paramashiva or Parashakti, right? So now what we have established is there is a Paramashiva and he has a Shakti, that is Parashakti. And now we will figure out who are we, why the creation happened, and what is the reason, and why are we unable to realize that the Paramashiva immediately and all that stuff, right? That is the next set of challenges that Saiva Siddhanta would explain. Right? So with this, I can conclude this section. So if you have any questions, you can, because we have a very short session here, you can always put it in the chat and I will bring the answers in the next session, or I will answer in the chat itself, right? So what we could do. I will also share these notes, whatever is here. Is it okay? Thank you, Mama.
Okay. Thank you.
Next week on Vijay, you can make it more in Tamil and less in English.
Okay. I'll try. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.